What is going on, you guys? It's your boy King Sanders Picks here, and we are back with another day of NBA sports betting. Yesterday, I absolutely killed it. So if you followed all of my for sure picks, I did end up going 3-1. The first game obviously was the Bulls versus the Pacers. I took the Bulls money line, considering that Brogdon and Sabonis were going to be out. The Bulls ended up winning by like 15, 17, something like that. They ended up playing really, really well. The next game that I ended up winning was actually the Lakers money line. I knew that Van Fleet was going to be out. Lowry had been out for a while, so I knew he was going to be out. And Lakers just don't lose to the to teams that don't have a whole lot of star power. And Siakam's good, but he's not able to really carry it by himself. They were out there running very weird lineups yesterday. It was something new. I just had a really good feeling about that game. So, and I'm so glad that I took it because I did end up winning in that game. The next game that I ended up winning was the 76ers minus 1.5. That game wasn't even close, and I didn't really think it would be. I was kind of shocked that the line was that close. That's why I did end up taking it. Yeah, it turned out to be a very good idea because they won by like double digits at least. So, and then the only game I lost was I was waiting on Giannis news pretty much all night. I was at work, and around like 6 o'clock and hadn't heard anything about Giannis yet. So I was like, okay, well, I got to just throw up a bet on this game because I don't want to not bet this game and then Giannis play. And he was listed as probable, so I thought he was for sure playing. I put the Bucks minus 6.5. Bucks ended up losing because Giannis was a late scratch. Whatever. So, we'll go ahead and go into today's slate. So I did end up going 3-1 yesterday, a very profitable day. So I'm hoping to keep that streak going today. Excuse me. It's about 7:45 in the morning, so I'm very, very tired. But this first game, I really don't like it at all. Minnesota is interesting because Minnesota actually has their entire lineup back, I think. They have Rubio, Edwards, Okogie, McDaniels, and Karl Anthony Towns. They have D'Lo on the bench. I think he was, if I remember correctly, I think he was, let's see. I think he was on a minutes limit, but I do think that for the most part he's back, which is good, which is really good. So if he is still active, I do actually like Minnesota plus 3.5. It sounds like from Indiana's side of things, they're all still questionable again. So if they are out, which they have been for the last couple games, I do like Minnesota plus 3.5. If they are out, I like, or if all those players are out, I like Minnesota. If they're all in, I actually like Indiana. So, because even last night they threw out Gogo Badatse against, or however the hell you say his name, against Vucevic, and Vucevic absolutely tore him up. So, Indiana without those players are not very good. Not a very good team. So, just stay tuned on the injury news for that. The next game is the Washington Wizards versus the Magic. This is interesting that the line is only 3.5, but both teams are very bad. I think Bradley Beal is still out. Yep, they're out. He's out for a while. Hachimura is questionable. Gafford hurt his ankle like literally one of the first games of his time on the Wizards. So I guess I get it. But that's just a bad team. I mean, Russell Westbrook is good, obviously. Bertans is a good shooter. Avdia has a lot of potential, but he's not necessarily the best player yet. But then they're starting Alex Len. They're starting Raul Nato. So I don't like that team. I really don't. Excuse me. But Orlando is super bad too. I mean, Orlando is running like they have a guy. I think it's Chuma Okiki. His nickname is literally the Chum Bucket. That's literally what they call him. the chum bucket. So, I mean, so it looks like Otto Porter Jr. is out for sure. Michael Carter-Williams is questionable. Kim Birch is questionable. Gary Harris is out. Cole Anthony is out. Fultz is out. Jonathan Isaac is out. I really don't like this game at all, but if I had to pick a side, I'd probably go Washington -3.5 just because I do have Russell Westbrook, but that is the only reason. The only reason. This next game is New York versus Boston. Don't like this game either. I'm not a big fan of any of the games today. I mean, New York has been a solid team all year. Boston has actually struggled as of late. Like I said, they lost by double digits yesterday. They beat Charlotte as they should. They beat Houston as they should. Lost to Dallas. Lost to New Orleans. They beat OKC as they should. And then they actually had a very good win over Milwaukee. But the thing is like, I don't know how much I trust them. I just don't. I mean, they're a solid team, but like New York is like, you know, they kept it close with Brooklyn. They beat Detroit. I mean, they lost pretty big to Dallas. They lost to Minnesota. Lost to Miami. So, I don't know. But then, see, they beat Milwaukee, beat Washington twice. They forced Philly into OT, and then lost by 1. So, they're taking it like it's close when it comes to, like, these two teams are very, very close. So, I don't like either of them. But if I had to pick a team, I would probably go with Boston -3.5. New York, or Boston doesn't have anybody to guard Julius Randle, which is going to be a major issue. And I do think that's where a good chunk of their scoring is going to come from tonight, is from Julius Randle. But the thing is, like, they have Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart. I'm going to double check to make sure none of those guys are injured or anything. So just Fournier and Tristan Thompson. So they've still got Tatum, Brown, Robert Williams, Kemba Walker, Marcus Smart, Edwards, Pritchard, Williams, Wagner, Semi Ojeleye, Cornette, Langford, Tremont Waters, and Taco. So they still have all of those players. I'm going to be taking probably Boston -3.5. I think that spread's just a little too... I mean, I know New York is really good about keeping it close, but I just feel like Boston's going to win and cover in that game. I don't feel 100% confident about it, but that's what I'm going with. Next, we have New Orleans versus Brooklyn. Got to be honest, this is one game that I'm actually very confident about. I am going to be taking the Pelicans +10.5. As of right now, Brandon Ingram, he was questionable yesterday, and it seemed like he was going to play, but he just last second was kind of a scratch. Kyra Lewis, I don't know about him yet, and Jackson Hayes, I don't know about him. Alexander Walker's going to be out for a while. You know, I hope he does rest up and, you know, everything works out for him. But yeah, that was a pretty scary looking injury. But I feel like Brandon Ingram's going to be back tonight. On top of that, Zion is back, so he's going to for sure be playing, which is going to be nice. Is James Harden... So James Harden's out until mid-April. Okay, and Kevin Durant is out until mid-April. Yeah, so the only player is Kyrie. Anytime it's only been Kyrie, they kept it close with New York. They lost to Chicago. They beat Charlotte pretty handedly, but that was right after the Gordon Hayward injury, so they were trying to get things figured out. They actually only beat Houston by 12. They only beat Minnesota by 5. So yes, I am 1,000% hammering the New Orleans to cover that +10.5. That's just way too high of a number with someone of Zion Williamson's caliber. That's way too high of a number. Plus Brandon Ingram might be back. That's a chance I'm willing to take. They still have Lonzo. They still have Bledsoe. So they're still a solid team. Steven Adams is there. So they're not going to lose by. They're not going to get blown out, I don't think. I personally am going to be hammering this 10.5 for the New Orleans side. Next game, Memphis and Atlanta. Another tough game to predict. Memphis has been playing really well. They've been keeping it close with a lot of good teams. Atlanta has kind of been the flip side of that. If you want to take a look here, they beat New Orleans pretty handedly, and then they barely beat Golden State. So they're on a 4-game win streak. They're on a 4-game win streak right now. And I think that this is probably a situation where they extend that win streak to 5. I do think that they win tonight against Memphis. Memphis isn't necessarily the best team. And I'm going to take a look at injuries real quick. So John Collins is out. Chris Dunn doesn't really affect them. Cam Reddish is still out. And DeAndre Hunter out. So this is their starting lineup. I think that that's enough to get it done. They'll have Gallinari coming off the bench. They'll have Okongwu still. They'll still have Tony Snell. Obviously, Lou Will. So, personally, for me, I think that this is going to be a game that they extend it out to... they extend that win streak to 5, and I'm taking Atlanta -2. Next is Dallas and Houston. I don't like this game. I know that that's a pretty large number, but like I've said in my past couple of videos, Houston is just a very, very bad team, but they've been keeping it close recently. So if you wanted to take a shot in the dark at a Houston team that's been hot, even though they're just not a very good team, I am all for that. I would never argue against that because they've been keeping it close with a lot of teams. It's just when you look at it, like, they just shouldn't be keeping it close, but somehow they are. So it's kind of a scary game to bet on because you never really know what you're going to be getting with Houston. But if you do think that Houston's going to cover that, I would not argue with you one bit, and we'll just have to see tonight. But I would have to agree with you. Next game is the Hornets versus the Thunder. I think this is going to be an absolute crapshoot. I don't think this is going to be a good game at all to watch. Nor bet, really. Because Charlotte, I know, is out. LaMelo Ball, obviously, and Gordon Hayward. So, it seems like they're out Malik Monk. But they still have pretty much the entire team from last year. They've got Terry Rozier, Devontae Graham, Miles Bridges, PJ Washington, Biyombo. But the thing is last year they really weren't that good of a team last year. But the thing is like they played very well together. Even though they got absolutely smoked by Boston, they didn't have any stars in that game. And this is kind of like a starless, if you want to call it that, starless basketball game. Because OKC doesn't really have any stars either. So it makes it interesting in this game because, like I said, Charlotte has a lot of has a lot more complete of a team than the Thunder. So I'm probably going to be taking Charlotte -4. I feel like that's a good bet. Just because Charlotte does have a lot of teammate chemistry. They play extremely well together. And I do just think that it's going to be a better overall matchup for Charlotte as opposed to OKC. Because I think, I'm going to check injuries for OKC real quick while we're here. So Kenrick Williams, questionable. Roby, questionable. Muscala out. Shea out. Lou Dort out. Horford out, and Baisley still out. So, I mean, their roster is looking like Poca Poca, Kenrick Williams, Moses Brown, Maladon, and Svi. I just don't like that. I feel like that's not a team that's going to be able to beat a Charlotte team. I just don't. Moses Brown is probably going to be like, he's going to come out of the water and absolutely destroy me just for saying that. I can just feel it. But for now, if I was picking a side, I am picking the Charlotte Hornets -4. So, the next game is San Antonio versus Denver. Don't overthink this one. Please just don't overthink this one. When I saw this line at 6.5, take Denver -6.5. Denver is a very, very solid team all the way around. I know that Jamal Murray is questionable, but even with Jamal Murray out last night, they still beat Detroit by 15. And the Spurs are not necessarily on like a different planet when it comes to being a good basketball team. They just lost to Cleveland. They lost to Indiana. I mean, they lost to Atlanta. They did end up beating the Kings. That was the one night that I bet on the Kings. But then they lost to the Kings as well. They kept it. Well, they beat Chicago by 16, but Chicago had just gotten all their new players. Lost to the Clippers. The Clippers is probably the first team, like caliber wise, to go with the Denver Nuggets, and they got smoked both games. And Milwaukee down here, they only lost by 7, but Giannis wasn't playing. So, don't overthink it. Take Denver minus 6.5. It should be a double-digit win. Like I said, the only injuries here are just Jamal Murray, and for the San Antonio side of things, they have Trey Lyles out, DeJounte Murray is questionable, Lonnie Walker's out, and Keita Bates-Diop is out indefinitely. So don't overthink this. Just don't. DeMar DeRozan's probably going to put up 30, but the Denver Nuggets are way too good of a team. They're going to cover that for sure. So, the last game of the night is Utah versus Phoenix. This will be the one game that's actually exciting to watch, I think. So, this one's interesting. Because if you take a look at Utah, they ended up losing to Dallas here. And they've obviously beaten a lot of shitty teams, like, throughout this time. So they won. So they're 9-1 in their last 10 games. But they haven't really played a whole lot of competition. You look at the Suns, it's kind of the same boat, which is interesting because if you look at their last competitive game was against the Lakers that didn't have LeBron and Anthony Davis. So neither team has really played a powerhouse in a while. This game is going to be extremely interesting to see how it turns out. I think Utah has Donovan Mitchell back. He does for sure. So their whole team is fine. I'm going to take a look at the Suns. I don't think that they have any injuries. If so, yeah. So just Frank Kaminsky is questionable. That's not really going to kill them. They still have Saric off the bench. They still have Jay Crowder. So it's not really going to hurt them too bad if he is out. So this is an interesting game. It's going to kind of be a pick'em. If you wanted to take a side, I think personally I am going to take... I don't know. I think... This is tough, but I think if I'm picking a side, I think I'm going to go Phoenix. However, I do want to take a look at that over and under real quick. Okay, over under is 224.5. Hammer the under. That is the one thing that I am 100% certain about. Hammer the under. The Jazz are a very good defensive basketball team, and the Suns are not necessarily a terrible defensive basketball team, but hammer that under. Because, like I said, neither team, and the Phoenix Suns, I say it right now, they're on a 6-game winning streak. The Jazz have won 9 out of their last 10, so it should be the most competitive basketball game. It's going to be, both teams are going to be playing defense, trying to get stops, trying to actually play the game of basketball. So it's going to be very, very exciting to watch. Make sure that if you guys are home, watch this game. It'll be exciting. But hammer that under, because it is not going to get to 212, it's not going to get each team to 112. That's for sure. I don't think either team's going to score 112 points. I think it's going to be like 100 to 97 or 96 point game. It's going to be a very low scoring game. So now I'll go back over here so we can talk about my picks. So my favorite pick of the day, New Orleans plus 10.5. Make sure you guys hammer that. It should be there's no reason that they don't keep it within 10. No reason. The only star on Brooklyn right now is Kyrie and an old-ass Blake Griffin and an old LaMarcus Aldridge. So take New Orleans. New Orleans is only missing Brandon Ingram, which I know is a key piece, but Lonzo plays really big when Brandon Ingram is out. You want New Orleans for sure. Second best play, hammer the under, like I was saying, on the Suns and The Suns and Jazz game. Hammer that under. Then just some shaky plays. So those two are definitely my top plays. I also really like Boston -3.5. So if you wanted, those are probably my top 3 picks of the day. So if you want some for sure picks, pick those 3. From there, I can't say I really have any favorite picks. I'm going to be betting Charlotte -4.5 or -4. I also am going to be, and Denver. Okay, so really quick, just one more time. Under on the Utah and Phoenix game. New Orleans +10.5. Denver -6.5. Boston -3.5. And if you wanted to throw a 5th one in there, because I like throwing in, I like usually doing a 5th pick. If I do a 5th pick, so that way it's not like even, it's not like a complete wash of a day. So if I was throwing in a 5th one, I would probably go Charlotte -4. I think Charlotte -4 is going to be my 5th pick of the day. So I'm sorry if that video was pretty long. There was a lot of games to talk about, a lot of different things to, try to explain and kind of what I thought was going on. But if you guys did enjoy, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell if you guys did, so that way you guys know whenever I post. If you guys did tail me at all, make sure to let me know in the comment section what bets that you tailed me on. I would really love to know that as well. But I'm pretty confident in these picks tonight. Last night I went 3-1, and so I'm feeling pretty good right now. We'll have to see how it turns out tonight. If you guys do need a sports book, make sure you guys check out Barstool Sportsbook. They are fantastic. They're a brand new sports book, and they actually just gave me a $100 deposit or $100 bonus. I truthfully don't even know what it's for. Maybe it's for betting so many times. I don't know what it is. But they gave me a $100 bonus, so it does have some great rewards. Your first bet is $1,000 risk-free, or up to $1,000 risk-free. So make sure you guys check it out. But yeah, that's going to do it for me. This is King Center signing out. Peace.